LL Flight 1862 was a scheduled flight from Amsterdam Schiphol Airport to Tel Aviv in Israel. On board were 3 people, flight engineer, first officer, and a captain. The aircraft was a Boeing 747-200 freighter, so it was designed to be a freighter. It was never converted from a passenger version. So the aircraft taxied normally to Amsterdam's runway 18 left for a takeoff. They took off normally, and they were cleared to flight level 210 when suddenly 2 loud bangs were heard, and the aircraft rolled sharply to the right and made a sharp right turn. Then they found out that engines 3 and 4 had failed. They hadn't failed, they had fallen off. What had failed, though, was something in the pylon. So first you need to know a little bit about the pylons. So there's 4 connectors in total from the pylon to the wing. So it had so there were 4. So there's 1 in the front, 1 in the back, and 2 in the middle. I'll refer to the so we've got the middle ones. So due to stress and a bit of fatigue cracking, one of the middle midspa fittings snapped, and the other ones couldn't bear the load, so they in turn fell off. So the engine goes forward a bit and then goes to the right, scraping the wing and the slats, damaging hydraulic lines critically, and then hitting engine 4, causing it to fall off. Now, engine pylons are made to fall off in certain situations, such as a water ditching or extreme engine vibration. So then they lost most of their hydraulics, so they had very little control. They were initially coming in for a landing one of their runways, but then they had to change due to that. Since they could only turn right, they could not line up, so they ended up going for runway 27. So they line up with the runway, and they're on the glide slope, and then they were extending the flaps. So they extended through flaps 1, and then they could only stay stable with a full left aileron and full left rudder, and then the bang to the right became more as he lowered the flaps. Using bank to the right was due to the extreme loss of hydraulics. The flaps and slats on the right wing did not extend, causing even more lift from the left wing than the right wing, which caused a further imbalance. And then the first officer made the final air traffic control transmission, which was LL 1862, going down, and the right wing stalled. The aircraft went into an extreme nose down attitude and an extreme right bank, heading straight for an apartment. Officially there were 47 ground deaths, but there were possibly more since there were legal refugees there. All pilots died. The CVR was never recovered, but was definitely confirmed. Was there anything the pilots could have done to save their aircraft? Not really. If they didn't extend the flaps, they would have been able to save it, but they didn't really know that there are two hydraulic systems down. But now you might be asking, why didn't they get a flap asymmetry warning? Now this kind of puzzles me. There are two possible answers. One, the 747 didn't have a flap asymmetry warning, which is highly unlikely. The second thing is circuit breaker was pulled, or third and most likely thing, with the engines falling off, it cut it damaged some of the sensors, and they couldn't make a warning out of that. But all in all, if they kept the flaps to flaps 1, they possibly would have been able to land on the runway. But this disaster could have been much worse if it was a passenger aircraft, because another freighter, a China Airlines 747, had previously had the same problem and crashed. But think about it now. Think about it if, say, you had an SR and then you had as many people as JL123 had on board, and then that happened and they crashed. There would be a lot more deaths. So, that is the story of LL Flight 1862.